another 5 more minutes. So meantime, I request everyone to share this meeting invites in your groups and broadcasters, so people from your team can also join the meeting from the very beginning. So we'll be starting the session sharp by 7:35 p.m. So do send a reminder to all your team members out there. Yeah. So as you all know that we are conducting this Republic Day campaign, so where we covered various aspects of nutrition, right? Talking about the importance of phytonutrients, the role of holistic health, and today we have an expert speaker who is going to come and share his insights about what are the tips and tricks that can be useful for all of us to be a successful health and well-being coaches. So without missing out on much information, we will be starting sharp at 7:35 p.m. So please do send a reminder to all your team members out there. Thank you. Ashwin Srinair, Sarika Nayak, Shashida sir. So yes, team, once again, a very good evening to each and every one of you out there. Thank you so much for joining in for this exclusive session that what you have organized today. So as I rightly said earlier, so as an organization, we have conducted a 3-day marketing campaign pertaining to our Republic Day that we are going to be celebrating tomorrow, right? So where we covered various aspects, talking about the importance of phytonutrients, and then we spoke about holistic health. And today we have organized an exclusive expert speaker program who is going to talk about the nutrition aspect and how to be a successful health and well-being coaches. So today, each one of our passion is to become a successful health and wellness coach. But how do we do it? What are the barriers that we come across? There would be a lot of doubts and questions in our mind. So post this session, I believe you will be all getting answers to that, how we, each and every one of us out here building this business in the field of health and wellness can be much more successful. And without wasting much time, so I also have Bapu along with me. So I would request Bapu to take over. Bapu, over to you.
Thank you, Rahul. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is Bapu. I am the Major Accounts Manager. So I'll take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Christo. So like Rahul mentioned, he is one of the successful coach who is helping people to be in the better shape and better health, right? And to talk about Mr. Christo coming from the non-business background, where nobody from the business coming from the employee background. He himself was a employee, worked as accountant, but now he completely turned into health and well-being coach, and successfully is helping hundreds of people to lose weight and get their health back. So I'm sure you all are curious to hear from him. So please help me welcome Mr. Christo, founder Platinum, and also successful health coach. Mr. Christo, over to you.
All right. Very good evening to you all. First of all, I would like to thank you all for participating in this session. We could have been somewhere else. We could have been maybe in a party or maybe in an event, or maybe it could be with regard to just a hangout with your friends. But you chose to be here. And I'm here to tell you that you're not here by accident. Okay? It is something which is destined for you to be here. And I would like to really thank you all for participating. And I would like to definitely thank Amway and Mr. Bapu and all the supporting team who has organized this session, without which this wouldn't have been possible. I would like to extend that thank in the beginning. Why? Because it takes a lot of effort to really get people together to organize such events. And as I told you earlier, we are not here by accident. It is something which is destined to be. Okay, if you're in this meeting, probably some mentor of yours or maybe a coach of yours who has just introduced this business. And you must be wondering, why am I here? Why am I listening to him? What is this meeting all about? Am I going to be really successful with regard to this business? Will I really make it big? Or will I be able to achieve my dreams or fulfill my dreams? Here's the good news. The good news is this. If I'm able to do this, if I'm able to crack this, I'm pretty much sorted that you will be able to also do it. as rightly Mr. Bapu mentioned, I'm not from a business background. Yes, my dad has done some business, but I'm totally for an employee mindset. I studied in Bangalore. I studied in St. Joseph's College of Commerce, which is in Brigade Road. I did my commerce just like any other kid. After you do your college, of course, you get into work. So I got my first job, maybe in some telecalling. I worked there for a few months, and after which I got an opportunity to work with the most prestigious institution called as Christ deemed to be University, where I worked there as an accountant there for nearly a decade. So totally an employee mindset. For a person like me who could have no background with regard to business or no interest or even a mindset, if I'm able to come across this, if I'm able to really transcend to this level, here's the good news that you will also be able to crack it. But what does it really take? Why this business? That's the first question which you need to answer yourself. Why am I here? Why this business for me? What am I going to achieve in this business? Where am I going to head in this business? Am I really going to make it? These are certain questions which will be lingering inside of you. All right. So today, with my talk, I'm pretty much sure that you'll be able to get a glimpse of it. I'm certainly not going to answer your question. Your introspection, your answer is within you, and I'm going to leave it to you. And I'm going to just help you pave the way. I'm just going to help you with regard to touching a glimpse of what exactly is this all about. And from there on, catch that fire and hold on to that fire. One of the things which I tell to my prospects is this. In fact, with regard to diet and nutrition and exercise, I tell them that there is no diet, there's no nutrition, or there's no exercise in this world that will give you a permanent solution. What will really give you a permanent solution is your attitude, your thought process, and your perspective of life. What do I mean by that? Very simple. Let's say Mr. Bapu gets a new car. All right. Let's say he gets a new car. I'm pretty much sure that he's not going to just refuel the car and keep driving. Am I right or wrong? Even if you get a car, you're not going to just refuel the car and keep driving. There's something called as clutch oil, there's something called as gear, there's something called as annual maintenance. All of these things has to be there. To increase the lifespan of a car, you need to be doing all of these things. Am I right or wrong? When you get a car, you're going to do all these things. And that's how you increase the lifespan of a car. Right? Yeah, ThinkFit says he agrees to it. Very nice. So, if a car which is a sophisticated machine, which requires attention, our bodies are even more sophisticated. And we require attention as well. And if you come across a certain program, a certain diet that tells you that you do this, there's no rebound, it's just a claim. It's just a claim. If you have to really make it practical, you'll have to maintain. So, similarly is with regard to business. When you have to really sustain, you'll have to be grounded. First thing, you'll have to be rooted like a tree. Even when the storm comes, even when there is rain, even there are seasons, you'll have to be stay rooted as a tree, firm and rooted. Only then the tree, when due season comes, it begins to flourish. It begins to bear fruit, and that fruit will multiply. All right. So today, if you are in a very dry season, or maybe you're parched, know that is just a season. But that doesn't mean you uproot yourself. You're getting my point? You don't have to uproot yourself. You'll have to stay rooted. When you stay rooted, it's quite obvious that when your season comes, you will begin to bear fruits. But do you have the patience to really stay rooted? That's the question. Or what do we do in order to stay rooted? Because all of these things is mindset. Yes, the technical part of it is there. Your mentors would have told you, your coaches would have told you. There is a script. There is a kind of a methods. There are things which you can duplicate, but at the end of the day, you should have this deep introspection inside of you. What is that which I can innovate? What is that which works for me, which works my audience, which works for my people? That's something which you need to definitely introspect. Your mentors can support you, guide you, stand as a pillar, but at the end of the day, you'll have to also stand by yourself. Because at certain point of time, you'll have to lead an entire team. You'll have to become a leader. And being a leader starts with serving, right? So this whole entrepreneurship runs on mindset. If we have that proper mindset, we will be able to really track ourselves. When we're able to track ourselves, we can create momentum. When you create momentum, we will see results. When you see results, you will see the outcome. When you see the outcome, again, you see the momentum of the outcome. It's a vicious circle. It's a vicious circle. So do not panic. Do not be dejected. Do not be demotivated, even as you are in a certain place today. Because the next time I'm going to meet you, I'm certainly sure you're not going to be in the same place. I'm certainly sure that you're going to scale up your business. And it all starts with you. Because there are such hundreds of meetings which will happen. There are hundreds of people which will tell their own story. Today, I have my own story, something which is very different from my coaches or from my appliance. Tomorrow, you'll have your own story. Are you willing to create that story? Are you even willing to be so open that you will be able to really create your own story? That's the introspection which I want you to start with. And this is the ground. This is where the ground we grow. For example, when you bury a seed, where does the seed grow? Or where does the seed go, in fact? The seed goes to a very dirty place. It's a miry clay. And that is the environment which the seed can grow. If you drop a seed in an aquarium, do you think the sapling will happen? The tree will begin to grow? The roots will be formed? It will not. It has to go through those phases. It has to be buried under the clay where there's nobody to hear. You're alone. You're dejected. You're miry clay. You're in the dirt. Nobody to listen. No sunlight. No ray of hope. Nothing. And that's the fertile ground. Today, if you're in such a kind of environment, do not worry. This is a fertile ground. Your coach is there. Your mentors are there. And it's a fertile ground where you're growing. So stay there. It might be difficult for you. Sometimes it might offend you. Sometimes you might feel that nothing is working out. Sometimes you feel that this is something which is not for me. I'm not meant to do this. There's no history of anything which I've done in the past. But stay there. You will begin to grow. There will be certain kind of water which is entering inside of you. There will be sprinkling of water. Slowly you will begin to grow. So when the seed begins to go through metamorphosis, which is a scientific term, where the seed begins to grow into a sapling, and then sapling into a plant, into a tree. Okay, so the seed goes through that metamorphosis is when the seed really begins to end up going into a big tree. So during that stage of being into that metamorphosis, I want you to stay patient. I want you to hold on. This is a story of a seed. Every big apple tree or a banyan tree or a peepal tree was a seed once. Am I right or wrong? Was a seed once. You would have all heard from your mentors the story of a bamboo tree, right? It grows 5 years under the earth, and after which in 90 days or something, it goes very tall. So this happens over the period of time. But do you have the patience and the tenacity to hold on to that even when you do not see anything? Because faith is a substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. That is called as faith. When you have that faith, you will not see. It's a substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. You may not see that, but it will happen. I'm not exaggerating this. I'm being as practical as possible, and I'm being very authentic as possible. And this is something which has happened in my journey. I'm very sure that tomorrow you might be also talking in such big forums like this about your journey. All right. So I have a small presentation to share, something which could be more to do with tangibility and intangibility. All right. And also with regard to a little bit about work ethics. I'm going to share those things with you in the form of a PPT, because more than you looking at my face or staring at my face, I thought if I make it visual, it'll be more interesting. All right. The other thing which I tell some of my prospects or clients is this, that no, you have approached me with regard to getting healthier or losing weight or getting fitter. Maybe your friends or maybe your loved one would have suggested you would have gained their trust and you approach me. But just because you approach me, or just because I may have $1 million solution with regard to health and fitness, or the best of solutions with regard to health and fitness, that doesn't mean you will sustain. That doesn't mean you will be the same. No, people will still tend to detour. Why? Because people have failed to develop identity based habits. They failed to identify themselves as fit people. What do I mean by that? Very simple. Now, as a coach, imagine if you're one of my client or maybe a prospect. Let's say we are meeting in person, maybe in a coffee shop, and I'm sitting and talking to you about weight gain, weight loss, and fitness, and all of these things, having a huge belly or being obese, right? What will be your mindset? Will you be able to connect with me as a coach? Will my words be relevant to you? It will not be. Maybe you'll go for the solution because of the things which you've seen on my social media about my client results, but you'll never be able to connect with me as a coach. Why? Because my words will never be relevant to you. Probably deep down, you might be thinking about yourself. Coach himself needs weight loss. This coach who's talking to me about weight loss, he himself needs weight loss, or he's not practicing what he's preaching. This is what some of us do. We exaggerate, we display ourselves in such way, but just as much as you display, there is no work ethic. When you have big goals in life, we cannot operate in poor work ethic. Just as much as we want our clients to become healthier, we have to also look healthier and fit. For that, you'll have to definitely do the do's, right? So practice what you're preaching, okay? And be a person whom you're really talking about. Let's not just talk, let's also live. So this attracts people. You don't have to really push people hard. I don't do push. There is a good push, there is a extreme push, but there is something called also as pull. How do you do that? By living a life of authenticity, by living a life of what you're exactly preaching, by living a life of influence, impact, living a life of conviction. Conviction is the important thing, because even as you preach to a certain person, even as you talk to a certain person with regard to a certain thing, you yourself, your conscience itself will tell you whether if you're really telling the right thing or telling the correct thing or not. That's called as conscious. So let's go based on conscious. When we are sincerely putting all of these efforts, maybe someone else who might be growing in different format, in different game. It doesn't matter. Stay authentic, put in your hard work, because hard work is something which will beat talent. There might be someone who's doing exceptionally good videos with a lot of fonts and a lot of captions. There might be certain people who are exceptionally good with regard to having a six pack. But put in that hard work. Put in that hard work. Keep doing it. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. That's something which is called as consistency. The other thing which I tell people is I unpackage consistency for people. What does unpackaging consistency means? Because you would have heard in many meetings, you would have heard in many forums, you would have heard in your own workplace where you're working. Probably if you're working, I'm not working. I quit my job. I no longer work for Christ University. I'm not a 9 to 5 guy now. Okay, I live in freedom of time and money by the grace of God. All right. So I was just telling you that these things is something which will happen. All right. So what we need to be doing is we need to stay connected. We need to communicate with people in the right manner. And we will need to also be able to really impact people with our lives. That's what matters at the end of the day, being authentic. All right. So let me share this presentation. I'm going to continue my talk with a small presentation which I have for you. And if I get the privilege to share my screen, I would share my screen right away.
Yes, Abhishek, you can share. I'll give you the rights.
All right, great. I hope you're able to see my screen now.
It will load.
Great. Now, sorry about that. Okay. So Founders Pattern, it's not more about me. It's about what I'm going to tell you. Of course, I had to put my picture so that you know that this is the person whom you're talking to, so that you can relate. Okay, it's not something which is, which is something which is edited or something like that. Okay, so this is how exactly I look. Okay, and I'm working towards being very fit, which I will be in 2025. Okay, which means six pack definitely. Okay, so now October 2019, I was on board into this entrepreneurship. All right, it's a huge shift for me because, as I told you, I had no clue with regard to business. There is nothing that I can vouch on because all I thought business was investment. I didn't even have a thought about business at all. Yes, I did really have a thought of financial freedom, or maybe creating a kind of a setback where I can really be financially free, some kind of thoughts like that. Not really in these terms. These terms I learned later. But what I'm saying is, I wanted the provision, I wanted the funds. And I literally prayed for it also. All right. That's the truth. I prayed for it. I prayed for my finances. If there's nothing wrong in praying for your finances, it's not greedy. It's something called as conviction, is something called as what you want and you're asking for it. So prayer is nothing wrong. You can pray about your finances. All right. So October 2019, I was on board being an entrepreneur. Okay. And of course, there are boot camps, there are meetings, which I sincerely attended. Even in difficult situation, even while I was at work, my breaks were mostly on business. I had three breaks. One was morning tea break or tea or coffee break, which was 15 to 20 minutes. That is between 10 to 10:30, somewhere like that. And then evening, you have this 3 to 3:30. 15 minutes only. I'm just extending another 15 minutes, which I did. Okay. And then you have 1 hour break during the lunchtime, which is between 12:30 to 1:30. So all of these time was invested on growing, on personal growth, on attending meetings, on boot camps and learning. All right. So from 2019 it started. It was starting actually in 2018, but I put it as 2019, which was the real game of entrepreneurship. And after that, what happened? In my first PACE meeting is a meeting which happens where you get together as a group, where your mentors are there, your mentors are there, okay, and you discuss there about what is the PV which you have attained. PV is nothing but points, the growth in the business. So I started my PACE meeting with 400 PV. Actually, it was zero PV. Somehow I reached to 400 PV, and I was very proud about it. When I sat there in the PACE meeting, there were people who were 2,000, 2,500, 4,000, 5,000. I thought I did something, but I realized sitting there that, I was nowhere. So this is how I started my entrepreneurship journey. Okay, with this exact setup. Okay, and then let's see from where to where I've gone. I'm going to show you a little bit of tangibility. What is tangibility? Something which can be touched, felt, and seen. Okay, something which can be touched, felt, and seen. Okay, so I will share from 400 PV to where I went with regard to certain tangible things which I'll show you, even with regard to the money. All right. So now, in September 2021, after many meetings, you're able to see my screen, right? If you're able to see my screen, use your emoji and just give a thumbs up. Just give a thumbs up if you're able to see my screen. Okay, great. Thank you, Prakash. That was really wonderful from you. All right. So now, in September 2021, I was constantly in 4000 PV in 2019, 2020. 2020, though the COVID happened, my business grew more during COVID, which means I became 2400, maybe 3000 or 4000 during that time. But I was stuck. For a long time, I was stuck. Why am I sharing this? Is because these are phases of business. There are times that you might get stuck. But we can also learn from ourselves or from others what really is happening in their life. Why did they get stuck? How can I really stop this from getting myself stuck? It's the mindset. Okay. So after a certain point of time where I was reaching 2400, then 3000, 3000, 3000 for a long time, then 4000, 15%, I began to see a lot of money as well, a little bit. I mean, comparing to what I was living as an employee mindset. Okay. So then I reached a certain stage where I was 7000 PV and I was stuck there in 7000 PV. Okay. That is in September 2021. Right. And then October also same thing, 7,000. Then November, December, it happened. Then in December, what happened? That is in December, we went through a lot of meetings, a lot of connections with your coach, upline, and then upline. So there was a shift which happened. How long? How long can I stay here? If I'm able to reach that 7,000, a little bit of extra stretch is what is required. And for that, you need to just organize yourself. Okay, if you just organize yourself and see where the leak is happening, probably you'll be able to figure it out. All right. See, if you want to badly go somewhere, for example, you have booked a flight tickets, okay, to go to Singapore, and the flight is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll be in the airport maybe around 10:30 or 11. So that conviction should be there. In fact, I became 10,000 PV for the first time. Even before I could become a 10,000 PV, I quit my job. I'm not telling you to do that. There are many people, there are diamonds here who are being in a job and also, becoming a diamond. I'm totally in for it. But for me, I knew that I cannot sail in two boats. For my capacity, for wherever I am, I knew that I cannot do this two-time thing. I need to definitely shift myself. So that is when I took this bold step of quitting my job. I did not tell anybody. I did not even tell my upline. I quit my job and I knew for sure. I just discussed with my wife and my church. Okay. And then I quit my job. And in Jan 2021, I became 10,000 PV for the first time. Jan 2021. Okay. And then my platinum journey started. In February, again, I went back. You see this? Jan 10,000 PV, which is a silver. If you're not aware of these terms, just check with your upline, with your coach. He or she will take you into this, understanding with regard to PV and growth and silver ship, platinum ship, founders platinum, all these things. All right. They will be able to help you. They're the best people. Okay. So I'm not going to go into detail of that, but I'm going to share this, that for the first time, I attained 10,000 PV in 2021. Okay. And then immediately there's a slack. Okay. When you hit a big score, there's a tendency, there's a pressure also that you have to perform. So I slacked. Then I put in effort because February is only 28 days. Then again, I put in my effort and consecutively for 6 months, I did 10,000 PV. I mean, silver ship. So if you're doing 6 months, 10,000 PV, you will become a platinum. Okay. And that is from September 2021 to August 2022 was my platinum ship. What was my earnings? One is 8 lakhs. This is a bonus. I'm not calculating the daily monthly income. This is just the bonus. That is 8 lakh 3,782 plus 5,000. That's the thing. Sorry, 5 lakhs. That's the thing which I earned being a platinum. Okay. And then what happened? In August 2023, between September 2022 to August 2023, I became a Founders Platinum. What is Founders Platinum? Which means 10,000 PV for all the entire academic year. Every month, you're doing 10,000 PV. And what was the amount which I earned? 16,67,174 plus 8 lakhs in 2023. Everything what I earned this business, I invested in this business. In what form? For me, tools are very important for me. What are the tools which I use? Phone, I know if I get a good phone, I can really do fabulous contents and I can really multiply my business. Invested on a phone, invested on my laptop, invested in a car. Of course, when you go to a client meet, go in a car. So I invested on that. Okay. All these earnings I invest on something which can really compound, not in the form of maybe stocks or mutual, which is very good. If you take the guidance, right guidance, and do that. But this is with regard to what I can do, how I can really grow my business, how I can really upscale a personality, so that when you're working out, wear a good shoes or Nike shoes, probably a Reebok. That shows your personality or who you are. Okay, and that's important. These are certain small things which people see, which shoes you're wearing, which t-shirt, and all these things when you're working out, when you're training people, when you visit them, all these things. So you'll have to be top notch with whatever level you can. You don't have to exaggerate, you don't have to fake it. Just make it. Just make it. Okay, don't fake it, just make it. All right. So this is what happened in Founders Platinum. And then this 2024 happened. I'm going into this journey with regard to 2024 and 2025. My goal is to become Ruby and definitely Emerald. I'm going into that journey. And I'm certainly sure that next time when I talk to you, I'll be an Emerald. Okay. So now let's go to the intangible things. What are the intangible things? Okay. One is with regard to time, friendship, lifelong mentor, coach, network, personal brand. All these things matters. Recognition and motivation. Okay, so let's go one step at a time. What exactly that needs to be done? Okay, first thing is time. Are we investing time in the right manner? Are we utilizing the time the right manner? Very, very important, because the only thing which I get frustrated these days is the time. That is the only thing which I get frustrated about. If I'm losing time, if I'm wasting time, I really get frustrated, because it is important for us to organize time very well. It is very crucial for us to organize time. Okay, and time is everything. Okay, when you're investing half an hour somewhere, it should matter. Not from the perspective of money, from the perspective of adding value to people. When you're investing 30 minutes with someone, make sure that you add value to that person. Don't look for returns. Don't look for what I can get. Isme mera kya hai? Don't look from that perspective. Look from the perspective of how you can add value to that person. Because if you begin to do that with your time, if you begin to organize a little bit here and there and wake up early, maybe half an hour, and stay up a little late, maybe half an hour or maybe 45 minutes, this can really work out for you. The second thing is friendship. Okay. Friendship has to be authentic. You don't have to fake it, because people are not foolish. For example, you walk into a mall, okay, and there is a person who's coming and is telling you that, don't worry, I'm not selling anything. You certainly know that what is going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that you're not going to give that person the time, because people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. They love to buy, but they hate to be sold. So when you are authentic, people will be able to understand or discern that. When you're extending your friendship towards them, they know what could be your motive or what will be your motive. Maybe for time being, they'll stick to you if your motive is really manipulative. But if your motive is really authentic, they will stick to you for a long period of time. Not necessarily it has to work with everybody, not necessarily that you are a very friendly person with everybody, not necessarily, but build connection, build friendship with people with authenticity. Not from the perspective of what I can get from them or he or she will give referrals. No, from the perspective of adding value to that person. And also become a mentor and a coach. Someone who's very genuine. Don't stick to or don't limit yourself. Do not give a duration to a certain person whom you're mentoring or coaching. Give them that unconditional mentoring and coaching as long as you can, instead of you having a time bomb. There are phases, of course. Even as you coach a person, even as you meet a person for the first time, he or she is not going to be in the same level. They are also going to grow. So know where you need to really draw the line. You cannot operate in the same mindset where you met that person for the first time, where he or she got inspired into this journey of being an entrepreneur. So they are not in the same place. They're also growing along with you. So after a certain point of time as a leader, you should also know how to let go your ego and try to mentor in a different level. Okay, there are times that leadership is also about letting go that person and helping him to operate, him or her to operate. So become that kind of a coach and mentor and leader. And please know that your network is your net worth, but not only that, whom you're connecting, whom you're adding as partners is also your network, is also your net worth. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, give a thumbs up. Okay, if it makes sense, give a thumbs up. All right, very nice. Thank you. So your network is your net worth, is yourself, and also with regard to whom you're connecting, and also with your legs, with your partners. It could be with your friendship which you're developing. That is also a network. Okay, he or she might call you that asking for, maybe my mother's vitamin D is low. What can I do for it? Vitamin D and B12 is showing in my report. It is showing in my brother's report, or maybe friend's report, or maybe mother's report. Is there anything which I can do about it? So that kind of calls will come when you connect in these terms. And then personal branding. You have to brand yourself personally. And how do you do it? This comes with conviction. This comes with tenacity and consistency in whatever you're doing. If you're a person who's a skin expert, if you're a person who's into leadership, if you're a person into cooking, if you're a person into working out, how do you brand yourself on a daily basis? Do you journal yourself? Do you document yourself? Do you post it on your media? Do you consider quality even as you host it? Don't just randomly host it, and have some sense of quality, because when the contents are of quality, people will definitely have a look at it. One is with regard to quality, the other thing is with regard to the value which you add. And feel free to add value to people, not just personally when you meet people in person, also with regard to your socials. Add value, see what you can do, see what kind of value you can add. Okay, and then recognition and motivation. Recognize your people and motivate them in whatever level you can. Connect with your mentors. They will help you to how to recognize people, how to motivate them on a daily basis, or probably on a weekly basis, or on a regular intervals. So just as much as personal branding and recognition and motivation is important, personal growth is also very crucial. You'll have to grow personally. I tell people that learning never stops. At whichever stage of life you're in, maybe you could be a CEO, maybe you could be in this business, you could be a diamond or emerald. At whichever stage of life we are in, learning never stops. There is always a learning curve. We are not perfect. We can never become perfect. We are all perfection in progress. All right. So journal your personal growth on an everyday basis. If you're not a person who's reading books, if you don't like reading books, maybe listen to audio. Maybe listen to something which you should, if you like to see or watch and learn, do that. Try. Maybe you've not read any books. Maybe you're not so in for books. Maybe you do not have an interest. You feel sleepy. Just check whether if you can really make it to read books. If you're not able to read books, probably go for audios and videos. You'll be able to learn more also. There are certain books your uplines and your mentors would have taught you about. So stick to those and try to read it and try to learn and implement it. Maybe you take one specific thing and try to implement in your talk or probably in your life, and that would really help you. So personal growth is a no-brainer and no compromise. And have a perspective and also develop a leadership. Leadership is about influence. One of the best leadership which I really always refer to is John C. Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There are many such books we can read. There are many such audios and videos which you can watch as a leader. But what matters is all of these things are available. The entire information is available because you're living in an information stage. every information is available. If doctor prescribes a certain medicine, people are so vigilant enough to go to Google and check what could be the side effects. So there are informations available. So what I'm trying to tell you is people, even though the information is available, they are lacking mentors and coaches. Excuse me. Imagine Indian cricket team. Let's talk about a little old cricket team. Let's talk about Sachin, Ganguly, Dravid, MS Dhoni, Yuvraj Singh, Mohammad Kaif, all these people. So they were all legends, 10 or 11 legends in Indian cricket team. To handle this 10 or 11, people, you need a leader to handle their egos, which is the captain. And to handle the entire cricket team, including the captain, you need a coach. The coach may not be a great batsman. The coach may not be a great bowler. Or probably you wouldn't have even played some international cricket, but still is a coach. We all need mentors. Okay? We all need mentors. So it's not that, you'll have to be totally dependent on them. Initially, yes, because you have no clue about this business or you don't have blueprint, but eventually try to learn and climb up the ladder, and you should be able to lead others just like how your mentor or leaders led you. So have that perspective. Okay, just don't do it. If you're just doing it just like that, okay, just another thing, then I'm here to tell you that you don't have to really waste your time. If this is not meant for you, it's okay. You don't have to really waste your time, putting that all those hard effort. If you know deep inside of you this is something which is not meant for you, then it's absolutely fine. But even if a slightest of conviction which you have, this is something which I can do, then hold on to that fire and grow along with your team. All right. So that is the strength area. So relationships are hard. No matter how much we like, respect, or love someone, conflict seems to be inevitable. But this is the strength area, which requires constant learning and applying. When you have a client, okay, let me show the slide to you. Let me share my screen so that I can show the slide with you so that it makes sense. See, so when you have a client or a prospect, I know that relationships are hard. That's the most, because you're handling with egos. Okay, we're all having our own ego. Okay, so relationships are hard. Living with two people, living with a person is hard. But you'll have to become intentional about your growth. You have to be intentional about your relationship. So no matter how much we like, respect, love, serve, there is a conflict which seems to be definitely inevitable. Stress is inevitable in life, and it is also accumulative. The only way you can extract your stress level is going on a head massage or a body massage. This is just for your information. So this is something, the relationship is also like that, where it seems inevitable, the conflict. But the strength area is this, that you constantly work on that. You learn to apply. Probably you can watch a video, read books about it, how you can develop your relationship. And everything need not be books. You learn from your own mistakes also. Allow yourself to learn from your own mistakes also. It is okay. Just because you have told you these things, even as you begin to start off tomorrow, it is not that you're going to be without error. There will be mistakes, there will be errors. But when there are mistakes and errors, right now, even as you go through this journey, you will not be condemned. You will be convicted. If I do this, this will be the consequences. You will know that. If I continue to do this, this is where I'll end up being. You'll know that. So probably there are certain errors or grave errors which can be avoided. Okay. And then the other thing is drowning. The reason that conflict is not resolved is because nobody is being validated. Imagine your partner is drowning in a swimming pool. You start spitting facts. You knew there was no lifeguard. You knew you couldn't swim. So these are the reasons. These are the validation which we do. But what is that which you're supposed to be doing when your partner is drowning in a swimming pool? The first thing you do is you rip off your clothes and jump into the pool and try to help them. Will you be sitting there and telling that you did this? We do this to our children also sometimes. Don't we do this? We do this to our children also. When children are going wrong, we try to, instead of really trying to help them, we try to give statements or show statements or even tell statements that this is something which you could have avoided if you'd have done this. That is something which you can do a little later. You knew there was no lifeguard, you can tell your partner maybe a little later, but not at that time when the person is drowning. And you can't even tell that you knew that you couldn't swim. So instead of sitting there and analyzing the facts that what went wrong with that person and trying to really tell them at that point of time, the most essential thing to do right there is to rip off your clothes or remove your clothes and jump into the swimming pool and try to save them. So this is another thing which we need to learn. Why am I telling you all these things? Because these are certain small things which you need to really focus on. These are the areas which we need to grow. Why people not holding on to you? Why they're not holding on to you? Why they're not sticking to you? Because these things are missing. And this is something which has happened in my life. I'm talking my life. This is what exactly happened. It's not that I have just literally grown like that. I came with 400 PV. So these were the mistakes. Okay. So conflicts. Sometimes in conflicts, we are focusing on facts rather than my partner is drowning in anger, in sadness, in fear. We need to do something about it. So this is what happens when there is a conflict. As a leader, you'll have to let go of your ego and try to understand what exactly is happening to that person. Let's say when you do all of these things, nothing works out. It doesn't matter. Maybe at that moment it will not work out, but that person will remember your act for the rest of your lifetime. Somewhere down the lane, he will come back to you. Or somewhere down the lane, he might refer someone who could be a diamond leg. Right? Who could be a diamond leg. Always don't look from the perspective of business. Look from the perspective of human beings. Look from the perspective of what legacy you leave. Because money just flies, just like that. The more you grow, the more money comes in, the more expenditure is going to be there. Today, if you get a phone, for example, I just walked into a store, OnePlus, and OnePlus 13 was there. I have OnePlus 12. Then that guy said, that executive said, sir, the memory might increase from 512 to 1 TB, but still your memory is going to get used up because the quality of videos and photos is definitely going to be higher. The resolution is going to be high. The pixels is going to be high. So it's quite obvious that it will acquire more memory. This is exactly what happens with money. So when there are conflicts, focus on what is exactly happening inside that person. Even if you have to remain quiet. Because not every time, what happened, why this is happening, what can I do for you, how can I help you? All of these things will not help. Just remain quiet. There are times that like that also it will happen. Okay, so these are deeper things. And have 2 ears, not one. See, the reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth is because we need to listen more. Effective communication starts with listening. Always be the last one to speak. Once you listen with your ears, you have to make sure that you are hearing. Hearing leads to understanding, and understanding leads to resolving the conflicts. Okay, probably you would have joined this session expecting something, but these are the basics things which I have been inculcating in my business, in my relationship, and this is really helping me as a person. I'm growing as a person, as a personality, but not just that. I'm also be able to help people and attract so many people. Today, people call me literally from different parts of in fact, from the Middle East, from Australia, from United States. What is the need? There are best of solutions there, but they do it because of these small changes. So listen to people. When you listen, see, for example, when a prospect is sharing something, when a client is sharing something, if you do not listen, and tomorrow you ask them the same question, what happened? Are you pregnant? Are you married? They would have told you 2 kids. I have 2 kids. Okay, I have 2 kids, and this is the problem which I'm facing. If you have not heard that well, and probably after some time, are you married? If you asked, what will be the mindset of that client or a prospect? This person is not listening to me. Or even if he's heard something, he's not really hearing. And how could you expect that person to become a client of yours, a customer of yours? How could you expect that person to join hands with you as a partner? So there is a reason why God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. All right. So make sure that you use this. And these are things, this should not be a one-time event. These are certain things which happens on a day-to-day routine, every single day. It could be at your home. Are you listening to your wife? Or are you listening to your husband? Before you could tell something, are you really listening? Because when you're listening, what happens is you also gain perspective. When you gain perspective, you'll be able to give the exact resolution or a correction or something which is needed with regard to feedback. If you don't listen, neither will you gain perspective nor will you be able to give your proper feedback. And then they will know that they will consider that this is not an effective leader. When a leader speaks, people listen, not when just any other random person. And how one can become a leader? By acquiring these qualities and traits. Okay, and I'll just finish another 5 minutes. Minimization and dismissing. Minimize how a person feels or what that person is saying. When a person is sharing their feeling, you just tell, hey, wait, that's okay. Nothing is going to happen. They're trying to share their feeling. This is what I felt. That office colleague of mine, she got more increment than me. I worked hard, and this is exactly what happened. Probably they knew that I'm doing a business, and this is a situation. Okay, not exactly the same, but just analyzing. Okay, so that person got the promotion or maybe increment. I did not get it. If the person is sharing their feeling, hey, it's okay. It's part of the business. It's okay. Welcome to entrepreneurship. You don't dismiss. Listen to them. Don't dismiss their feeling. They're sharing for a purpose. Probably they wouldn't have shared it with your wife or husband. Probably they wouldn't have shared it with your own loved ones. They're sharing it with you because you're a mentor. So don't immediately dismiss it or minimize it. Try to listen to them. So what I feel is what I feel. We dismiss what a person says. What a person is feeling is what a person is feeling. When we dismiss that person. And they will not continue. They will not stick to you. So what happens in conversation sometimes, partners' feelings have not been validated. With your own partner, husband and wife, whereas when there is a conversation, we don't validate the feelings of a partner. And that creates detachment. And where do they go? They go where there is validation. Even the children, even your children also will go where there is validation. When they are trying to have a communication with you, a conversation with you, when you do not validate their feelings, they will go to the place where they are getting validated. Whose mistake was it? It is ours, not the other person. And validation is not agreement. Please know this, validation is not an agreement. If a person is wrong, okay, you validate them, but that doesn't mean you agree to what they've done as wrong. It's not an agreement. These are certain deep things which I wanted to share with you. Okay, and connection before correction. Correction becomes frictionless when you connect. There won't be a short circuit. When the short circuit will happen, when you correct people even before connecting. When you have a connection with your wife or with your child or with your partner, when you correct them, that becomes without any friction, without any misunderstanding or offense, all of those things. But when there is no connection at all, when you begin to correct, there's definitely going to be short circuit. Right? So that's something which is about to happen. So before you correct a person, connect with them. And correction is not an obligation like, this is my ultimate duty. Correction is something that you value that person, that you are interested in that person, and you really want that person to grow. That should be the exact intent of your heart. Okay, that should be the intent of your heart. When that is the intent of your heart, correction is something which is applicable. So have a right intent inside your heart when you correct people, not that you're applying, you're a leader and you have to dominate. Do not operate in positional leadership. Operate as a servant leader. All right. So sympathy before empathy. Sympathy is I care. Here is the life preserve. Empathy says I feel what you feel. Okay. So empathy is something which I want you to share with your people. Because sympathy is just that, I care, all those things. But empathy is something that you tell them, I feel. Even if you do not tell a word, you just be there with them, that you'll be able to feel. So all of these traits and qualities, if you apply in your life, I'm pretty much sure that people will stick to you. And people stick to you is certainly your business will grow. Your life will be meaningful. If you have to go far, you can go alone. I mean, if you have to go fast, you can go alone. But if you have to go far, you need a team. To build a team, you need all these traits. I hope this session added value to you. As I told you, the beginning is more to do with ourselves, our conviction, our introspection, and what we really want. Even as you're here, seated here, listening to me so patiently, for which I'm very thankful about, just try to introspect why. Okay, you don't have to get the answer immediately, but just try to introspect. Is this something which is meant for me? When I got this opportunity, I knew deep inside of me that this is something which I am meant for. I knew this. So I told my upline, whether if you're there or not there, I will continue to do what has been given to me until whatever time God has given me, and whatever time God has given me to do this. We don't know what is going to be the future, but certainly with whatever given time, by the grace of God, I'm going to do that. I'm certainly sure that I'm going to impact more lives. So ask this question to yourself. If this is the right place to me, what would be my next move? Ask this question to yourself, not only to yourself. After you get the answer, or after you've introspected a bit, connect with your upline and check, is this the right thing for me? Talk to them, talk to him or her about this. The second thing which I want you to do is, if you have gotten an answer that if this is the right thing, how can I really grow in this? What should I be doing on a day-to-day basis in order to really climb up the ladder? That's the second question which you ask. And the last question is, even as I do all of these things, what is my intent? What is my motive? Is money only my motive? That is something which you need to ask yourself, these three questions. All right. So I hope I added some value. Thank you so much for everybody. I mean, thank you for everybody to participating in this session, and also thank you for Ambe and Mr. Bapu who has initiated this session. I'm looking forward to many such sessions and really humbled at this point of time. Thank you so much. Over to the host.
Yeah, thank you, Christo. Thanks for your insights. And we have mixed people here. I mean, there are some new people joined to the business. There are few leaders, especially the leaders who are into coaching. I mean, health coach. They are sending me some questions. So if you can answer them for their queries, that will be great. So I'll read one by one. I mean, you choose to take it. You can choose. I mean, whichever relevant you are. So the first question from Ashwin, who is a platinum leader. So what are some of the unique ways you look at your generating new leads?
All right, very potential question. So when it comes to generating new leads, the first thing which we get is a list. Your own clients could give reference. If you're able to focus here, because what happens is your immediate clients or immediate customers are the best referrals. All right. If you're able to really satisfy them, if you're able to really create a mark inside of these people, the A list will definitely refer you. All right. When they refer you, it is bound to be something which could be a long lasting customer. Reason being, because they are immediate friends. For example, your A list is your WhatsApp, those people who are there on your WhatsApp. Okay. That is your A list, because you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, so many other social forums, Snapchat, and all those things. All of those people cannot be your A list. Only those people who are very important for you in your life, you have them as your phone number and you have them in your WhatsApp. So these people are high potential lead generation, people who could really help you to create a lead. And otherwise, you have other leads with regard to other social media, which you already know. But I would suggest you to focus on your immediate clients and their referrals, and after which that will compound.
Okay. And the second question from same leader. How often do you follow up a client who is in your program, and post the program, what do you make people consider the opportunity part of business?
All right. So one of the things which I do is this, that you need to create a system and a process to connect with your clients. Okay. And there are certain times when there could be random calls also. So you should be really open to become approachable. Okay. Maybe you're a busy person, maybe you're a busy executive. I certainly understand that. If you're a busy executive, set a timeline, and set a timeline not during the program or not maybe after a few months, but set a timeline while you're talking to that person for the first time. So set a standard right from the beginning that this is how I operate, this is the time. Okay. So when you're able to set a standard like that, you don't have friction. Okay. But when you talk from the perspective of, closing that client, okay, and you operate on a different level, that creates a friction. So in order to have a communication with the client, how often, if you ask me how often I connect with them every day, but not necessarily it is perfect. It's not that I talk to clients on a day-to-day basis. I definitely message them. Even if I miss a call, I see to that I call them. But for this particular thing, what you need to be doing is to need to organize yourself right from the start and set a time limit where you can really sit and answer genuinely. So that's the best thing which you can do with regard to maintaining the communication with clients. And of course, you can use your tools. You can use your multiple tools with regard to Zoom or WhatsApp. All these things you can use.
And the second question, the continuation is, what do you do make people consider the business, the opportunity part of business, the same weight loss client?
Yeah. So some of my legs are, they see, the best person to really pitch in the opportunity is your own client, because they've already agreed in like to be coached, right? So since they've already agreed in, they also know you as a coach, they also know you as a mentor, as a leader. Since you have already opened for being coachable, that's the best people whom you can pitch in the business as well. So what happens, the way you operate, the way you are as a person, it makes them ask this question, like, what exactly, is there an opportunity for me, like that? But there are certain people who will not ask. So the best thing to do is to connect with your immediate clients and talk to them about the opportunity in the right way. But this comes not just immediately. Don't be hasty. Never be hasty. There could be a certain sign, there could be a certain message, there could be a certain situation where this conversation will happen. So be vigilant enough to catch that phrase and build upon from there. So that's what exactly I do. When you communicate with your client on a daily basis, there are certain situations where some or the other way this business, or with regard to financial freedom, with regard to secondary source of income, might get connected. So you should be able to vigilant enough to catch that and then pitch in the opportunity to them. This is one way. The other way is to create a pull.
Okay. And the next question from the same leader. So what are a couple of business disciplines you consider as non-negotiable to have sustainable business?
Definitely waking up early, sleeping on time, very crucial, because people think if I sleep, I need to work, extend myself. And if you sleep enough, your efficiency will increase. We just have a wrong frame of mind. So when I said you need to stretch, that 45 minutes, that 1 hour is fine. But I'm certainly sure that you need to definitely sleep. Do not compromise on your health. When you sleep, your efficiency will work. So one of the disciplines is to wake up early, sleep on time, and main discipline is to portray yourself and practicing what you're preaching at the end of the day. Okay. So I maintain a consistency, I maintain a format. Today, when I visit my clients, today, when I visit my relatives, today, when I visit anywhere, people know who I am and what do I eat and what is the thing which I keep doing and what are the things which I avoid. Everything they know. So I have created such a kind of a impact in people's life. When I operate in this way, they're not certainly going to get offended. Neither will they detach me. Say they know me as a person, and they'll definitely adhere to certain things which I do. So the best thing is to live in as an example, waking up on time and sleeping on time, having a good sleep and maintaining your health. Okay, maintaining that exercise regime, because that is also a de-stress to you. And that creates, these are the things which creates discipline. And the other thing is no compromise on business. Like now that I'm doing full-time business, what I do is there is a morning time which I leave like around 2 hours from the time I wake up till 11 to 12. I don't talk to anybody, which means I don't do any kind of discussion with regard to health and fitness or consultation, nothing. I don't do all of these things. I invest on myself. I invest on my family. Of course, I have certain responsibilities as I have a son who's 4 years old. I have to drop him to school, pick him up, and my time also. The duration of 2 hours when my son is in school is my time. So I invest on myself. So I start exactly at 12 and I end it around 12. Not all days it goes until 12. Not all days it will stop till 12. It goes. So maintain a schedule. Have a proper process even as you bring in a client also. So this way I'm able to discipline myself. I also use tools like, for example, Calendly and many such tools like Google, all these things which reminds me with regard to the client meet. So this way I keep myself organized. So that is what I do as a daily discipline. In fact, there's a lot of room for improvement. I'm working towards that.
Thanks, Christo. So don't mind. I mean, there are few more questions from other leaders. There is a leader from Mumbai, Indu Ramani, founder Platinum. So she is asking, how much time you invest in physical meeting every day?
I don't meet people physically. When I do for the